May was a big month for racing games and sim racing. Spearheaded by the release of Forza Horizon 6, the month had plenty of exciting stories to offer. A familiar face joined the Project Motor Racing dev team, the 2026 expansion for F125 was officially unveiled, BeamNG.drive had a huge announcement, and Trak Racer had something special in store for bike racing fans. My name is Renee, and this is Sim Racers Monthly for May 2026. Let's start with arguably the biggest racing game release of the year. Forza Horizon 6 is finally here, taking players to Japan for the first time in franchise history. And what a trip it is. The map features the largest city ever created for a Horizon game, but that's not the star of the setting by any means. It's the surrounding areas, with their beautiful nature, impressive views, and tight mountain roads that really make the map shine. Tokyo City itself has not too much going on, so it doesn't really feel like the metropolis it should be. Still, road trips through the various different regions of virtual Japan make up for that in our opinion. Competing in races, finding treasure cars, and just exploring the environment are very much a fun experience. This is also true for lots, and I mean lots, of other players too. Despite the entire gaming being subject to leak on piracy website days before its launch, Forza Horizon 6 became the most played racing game of all time on Steam on May 15th already. And that was only the early release day for those who ordered the premium edition. Once the game fully launched, the number went up even more, and at the time of recording this video, Forza Horizon 6 peaked at more than 302,000 players. Since the Steam numbers do not include players that acquired the game via the Microsoft Store, the real player number must be even higher. Talk about an impressive launch. And despite the series not being known for being mod-friendly, the first few mods for Forza Horizon 6 have already appeared here on Overtake. For instance, Overtake user Miffy has created a SimHub plugin that adds Logitech TrueForce to the game, and it even works with other titles too. Check out the link in the video description if you want to give it a try. Project Motor Racing had a bit of an interesting start to May. Its first paid DLC that brings Japanese GT500 cars to the game originally released in late March, but disappeared about a month later. Developer Straight4 Studios cited a sensitive concern as the reason but did not specify any further details. The DLC, originally named Japanese GT500 DLC, reappeared right before the release of update 2.0.0.3, now called Japanese Prototypes DLC, with all references to GT500 and JGTC having been removed. There was no in regards to news from Straight4 Studios, however. On May 18th, they announced that a familiar face would be joining them. Aris Vasilakos is now on board as Chief Creative Officer. Most in the sim racing community know Aris from his days at Kuno Simulazioni, where he was an integral part in the development of the original Assetto Corsa and ACC. This marked his return to sim racing after a couple of years away, where he worked on the Wilder World project. If you visited Sim Racing Expo 2025 in Dortmund, chances are you have already run into Aris, as he was there with the Graviton project, a rig designed to simulate sustained G-forces. BeamNG.drive pulled a rabbit out of the hat right at the end of May. Seemingly out of nowhere, it was announced that the vehicle simulation game would be coming to PlayStation 5 later this year. Little else was shared around the console version of the game, but the announcement followed a prolonged period of silence from BeamNG. Could this hint at the game finally leaving its perpetual early access state that it's been in since 2015? We're very interested to find out. Also, about how the game will master the transition to the PlayStation platform. After a long period of silence, Automobilista 2 is back. The Brazilian-made title has returned to the sim racing spotlight with a brand new manufacturer under its belt in the form of Renault. There's no Twingo or Megane here, no, instead there are three mid-2000s screaming Formula 1 cars, the R25, R26, and R28. Fernando Alonso would achieve World Championship success in the R25 and R26 before leaving for McLaren for 2007. If you look closer in one of the photos, the Woking-based team's iconic grey and black livery can clearly be picked out in the Renault's wing mirror. It looked like Renault might not be alone in this update. So, lots to look forward to for all of you AMS2 fans. The rest of the update and the release date is most likely to arrive in June, so keep your eyes peeled and focused on our website overtake.gg for all the details. After multiple delays, the version 1.2.4 update for Rennsport finally landed on May 21st, not only with the Endurance Classics DLC, but also a long list of changes and improvements in tow. unlike what was mentioned when we visited Rennsport in Munich earlier this year, support for H-pattern and manual sequential did make it into the update, which the Porsche 956 benefits from in particular, seeing how it's the only fully manual car in the game. Le Mans also debuted as a track in the DLC, and the Kuala Lumpur street circuit arrived free for all players. So did the Hyundai N-Vision 74 and a bunch of liveries for cars that are already in Rennsport. With a new WRC game planned for 2027, Nacon has revealed a new studio as its developer, although there are a few familiar faces on board. The new team is called Grid Games, and its 4 lead devs have all worked at Kiloton or KT Racing before, the studio that created the official WRC games before the license went to EA Sports after WRC Generations. The upcoming game is not supposed to be a continuation of the previous WRC games. It's a completely new vision and a new cycle starting, stated game director Pierre-Nicolas Moreau. There were news on Kiloton as well just over a week later. In its earnings release for Q4 of the 2025-2026 fiscal year, the publisher/hardware manufacturer announced that it would restructure its Kiloton and Cyanide studios, while also shutting down 2 more subsidiaries. This came off the back of Nacon filing for insolvency in late February. May was also the month of Nacon Connect 2026. During the showcase event on May 7th, plenty of Revosim news were revealed, led by a partnership with the Aston Martin F1 team. Now, this did not result in a high-end replica gear, but rather a budget-oriented customization kit for the Revosim Aris Pure Wheel and wheelbase, which included a new wheel rim, Aston Martin branding, and even AMR gloves. Meanwhile, the Aris Pure shifter, clutch, and handbrake accessories were all officially launched, expanding the ecosystem. And it didn't even take Revosim 2 weeks to announce even more products to do the same. On May 18th, it announced a range of 3 console-compatible direct-drive wheelbases, the Aris Lite, Aris Initial, and Aris Pure, with increasing levels of torque. Perhaps the biggest hardware announcement of the month didn't even involve 4 wheels. Instead, Trak Racer had a big surprise in store for all fans of motorcycle racing titles. At SimRacing Expo Charlotte, the hardware brand unveiled the TRZ, a bike sim rig for home use that could finally offer a proper way of playing such titles. Even if it does not feature force feedback yet, something that is worked on to be added later, as few titles support it at the moment. Seeing some innovation in this space is refreshing. Motor Racing had a hardware partnership with MotoGP since 2025, but has not delivered any hardware yet. So Trak Racer might get some competition rather quickly. The TRZ is set to be available in October with an expected retail price of $1,999.95 so it's not exactly going to be a cheap ride. What is much more affordable is liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. That way, you never miss out on any new video while also supporting us, which we would enormously appreciate. But now, back to May's news.
You can become a premium member on our website, overtake.gg.
It's not just about the daily news, forums, guides, and downloads. It's also a vibrant community. Premium members enjoy extra benefits such as an ad-free browsing experience, special community deals, discounts, and Overtake Turbo, which provides setups, coaching, and 1 free esports setup per month powered by Track Titan. There is also a racing club where you can race with great, fair people without worrying about your driver or safety rating.
Another cool feature are community reviews, so you can have a chance to contribute and share your opinion on not yet released hardware or games.
Have your voice heard and help shape the future of sim racing. Join as a premium member on overtake.gg for just €1 a month.
The TRZ was not the only thing Trak Racer revealed in terms of new hardware. Far from it. Actually, licensed rigs in partnership with Aston Martin and Porsche, an ultra-sturdy cockpit called TR200 Pro tank, a dedicated truck seat, a Hot Wheels collaboration spanning a wheel stand and 2 rigs, there was plenty that was shown in Charlotte. Trak Racer even teamed up with Airbus for Flight Sim Cockpit, as well as with GameSir for force feedback racing game controller. Moving back to the software side after so many hardware news, fans were wondering when the 2026 season pack for F1 25 would finally release. Remember, EA Sports had announced that there would be no new F1 game for 2026 to refocus for the 2027 release, but rather a paid expansion to last year's offering. An interesting choice, considering the sweeping rule changes ahead of the 2026 season. The uncertainty ended on May 20th, when it was announced that the 2026 season pack would release on June 3rd. And it was subsequently shown what this expansion would include. As expected, all cars, teams, and drivers are on board. including the new Cadillac and Audi squads. And the new home of the Spanish Grand Prix, the Madrid in Madrid, is joining the game's track selection. However, it is only drivable with the 2026 cars, which many felt is a bit of an unnecessary limitation. Meanwhile, the new cars will feature active aerodynamics, as well as the controversial new hybrid power implementation that has not been very well received by many fans. F1 commentator David Croft called the racing disc crates less automatic but more expressive in a deep dive trailer released on May 26th. That's one way to put it. The 2026 expansion will be available either as a standalone add-on for €24.99 on PC and €29.99 on consoles, or as a bundle with a full game as F1 25 2026 Season Edition for €49.99 on PC and $59.99 on consoles. Staying within the F1 game cosmos, the F1 Sim Racing esports competition season ended on May 28th, with the championship battle coming down to the wire between Otis Lawrence and Ismail Farsi, despite Frederick Rasmussen appearing to be the biggest threat to Lawrence's title's hope initially. The final set of races saw the season boil down to a battle between Alpine's Lawrence and Ferrari's Farsi, and it ended in controversy. After making contact with Farsi on lap 18 of the final race at Yas Maria, Lawrence finished in 5th, enough to clinch the title, but the stewards had also handed him a 1-second penalty, as they deemed him to be at fault for the collision. With automated in-game penalties further shuffling the order, the stewards decided to overturn Lawrence's penalty while leaving one for Aston Martin's Duncan Hoffland untouched, meaning Lawrence was ahead of Farsi, but just 2 points. At the same time, Red Bull clinched the team's title courtesy of a third-place finish by Jarno Opmeer. It sure seems like the esports version of F1 can be up there with the drama of the real thing. Great news for Gran Turismo 7 fans. At Round 1 of the Gran Turismo World Series in Milan, where Michael was on commentary duty for the German livestream once again, the June updates content was announced, and it was shown that Toyota's GR010 hybrid would get some company. 4 new hypercars are coming to GT7, namely the entries of BMW, Ferrari, Peugeot, and Porsche. The prototypes will be accompanied by a Porsche 911 Turbo S safety car variant once the update is out on June 11th. And in case you are wondering whether or not it is worth getting into Gran Turismo 7 in 2026, 4 years after the game's release, check out Emily's latest video where she discusses just that. Spoiler alert, there are plenty of reasons to like the game. And finally, iRacing's latest dev blog released on May 28th to close out the month. As is tradition, the rather detailed insight into what the iRacing dev team has been doing showed quite a few new pieces of content and other interesting additions, such as separate starts by class for multi-class events, or rather a trial version of it in week 13. If things don't quite work as intended, the feature will be removed and should return in a future update. Other interesting bits include the introduction of the Euro NASCAR series as part of a new partnership, the new BMW M2 as base content, 2 new Formula Vs, and the Evo version of the BMW M Hybrid V8 hypercar. The brand new Coronado Street Circuit in San Diego that's set to host the NASCAR Cup Series for the first time in June is also part of the Season 3 update, as is the Bugatti layout of Le Mans. One track that was expected to be added when the Season 3 update hits in June, but is missing, is Paul Ricard, which requires further scans and will arrive at a later date. And that concludes a packed month of May in terms of sim racing news. Quite a lot to unpack, but we hope that you're ready for June now. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next edition of Sim Racers Monthly.